One review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's the author of the book A Phenomenal Life and creator of the Orbits of Consciousness, helping people awakening clarity, connection, and no other than Mr. Richard Smith.
Thank you, Daniel.
Welcome, Mr. Richard. Book 101 review, and can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. My name's Richard. Yes, I'm a coach, and I've been working with people for many years. And I'm also an associate professor at university in Hertfordshire in England. And yeah, I just had a lifelong fascination with understanding people and why they make the decisions they do. Sometimes how they see the world fascinates me, and so yeah, it's like a lifetime of experience has maybe come up with these some of these ideas, which I hope we'll be talking about today.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Richard. Thank you. So let's define the trilogy. Why are clarity, connection, and all the three essential fuels for what you call a phenomenal life? How do you work together as interdependent system?
Yeah, I think we all, as part of the human experience, we all operate at different levels of what I call within the orbits of consciousness. And I think that when we feel like we're operating at our best, and when we really feel like the world is serving us, and we're part of it as well, and really importantly, we're part of this universe, and we feel that we are, then there's the three things which, I mean, there's more as well, but clarity, hugely important because we can make better decisions, we got more awareness, we can see things, we can we come up with more solutions, the world feels like it's on our side. And then the connection is really important, the connection to ourselves, connection to the people around us, and also connection with something much bigger than us. And of course, as I say, the universe, connection to the universe as well. You know, we're part of it. It's a participatory universe, right? So, and then the final thing is awe, because awe and reverence and these higher states are what make us feel most grounded and most part of this. And so it just builds on that connection. And I think the idea of the phenomenal life is it's a life where we live the richest experience, and this is what the book is trying to encourage.
Interesting book, Mr. Richard, and thank you for sharing to the world. The title promises to ignite these states. What's the spark or first step to someone who feels spiritually or emotionally dormant, stuck in the mundane?
I think the it's a really good question. The first step, I think, is to for us to realize and to remember as well that however we are is not the only option of how to be. We can change this once we're aware of what state we're in, the state that we're in. We may feel fearful, we may feel, you know, difficult, stuck place, something like this, but it doesn't have to be that way. You know, the states of this extreme bliss and serenity are only a fraction of an inch away from us, and if we can change some of our behaviors, and yeah, this is how we think about things, and probably take greater control of our own consciousness. And so igniting this is it's not you don't flick a switch, it's not quite as simple as that, but we can certainly learn to flick little switches which help us along the way. And then the more aware we are of how our consciousness is serving us, I think the more power we have to live in higher states.
Hmm. Yes, indeed. In a world of burnout and digital distraction, how does cultivating awe move from luxury to a non negotiable practice for mental resilience and creativity, Mr. Richard?
Oh, okay. How does awe do this? I think you're absolutely right. With distractions, we become absorbers of information, and we no longer feel as if we are perhaps participating quite as much as we could be, and I think we feel isolated, separate, and it's that building up of the egoic identity is never going to, it's going to withhold us back. It's going to minimize us. It's going to minimize how much we can experience of the world, how much phenomena we can literally experience. So the awe which I think is really important, and it's a massively important part of how we want to try and find it. And I always say, try and find where your awe every day, where you're going to find it, because when we find the awe, that we feel part of something bigger, something much more important, something bigger than us, and I think that is that helps us to move forward.
To move forward, yes, definitely. Let's deep dive into each pillar. Beyond a goal setting, what does clarity mean in this context? Is it about purpose, values, or something more subtle like clearing the internal noise and knowing your own heart?
Yeah, I think it is. The first thing I talk about in the book is about knowing ourselves, because when we know ourselves, we're no longer we have more control over how we react to our own body. Our body is trying to help us. It's we're born in a human body, and we'll feel all the emotions, and we'll feel the threats, and we've all got histories. We've all had, we've been through experiences, and we've got so much history which we can't escape from, and we don't need to escape from it. We just need to understand it. So once we know ourselves and we know our limitations, we know the things that trigger us, we know the things that will um, how we're going to react in certain situations, and we know why we're going to react like that. And then that clarity, when we know ourselves, we can just see the world in a much better place, and we're no longer fighting against ourselves. We're now not fighting against anything. We're now offering ourselves more fully and with much more wholeness to the world. So the clarity is I think is fundamentally important here.
You distinguish this form from mere networking. What is the quality of connection that transform a relationship that makes it a pillar of a phenomenal life? Is it depth, vulnerability, or presence?
I think presence is hugely important there, because to be present for somebody, I think, is a gift, and I think that when we can come from a place of presence, our level of thinking is better, our level of listening is better, our level of empathy, compassion, everything builds. So therefore, the connection, and we can't really connect with others until we've connected with our own feelings, because if we haven't connected with our own, internal, how the world affects us, we can't understand how the world affects other people too. To understand others, we have to understand ourselves, and to understand ourselves, we have to understand others. So we want to build connection, and connections to others is hugely important. We need to, something that we need to do in order to live a wholesome existence. So yeah, connect to ourselves, connect to others, and then connect to something bigger as well. And as we move out through the orbits of consciousness, this is what we're trying to achieve.
Mr. Richards, let's talk about the practical ignition from the concept to a daily life. What is a simple, actionable hunt practice you recommend to someone can do on their lunch break or commute to begin rewiring their perception?
I think the more we can quiet the mind, and people, everyone has their own ways of doing this. It may be getting involved in a hobby. You can go for a run, you can dance, you can do knitting, you can paint, you can meditate, there's all these different things you can do to quieten the mind, so we don't no longer hear the chatter from within. And then once we do that, we can start to notice more. So we might notice much more beauty, we might notice some sounds, we might notice the things that are going on around us. And the more that we can experience of the world, the more we're in it, right? The more we are present to it. And I think the more we are present to it, the more connected we are to the world around us. So yeah, time spent in nature is a wonderful time. People do it; they find themselves drawn to it, and that's for a very good reason. Because just to breathe and to watch nature, even if it's as simple as just watching grasses wave in the wind, it can be a wonderfully mindful moment, and I think they're the sort of moments which can bring us towards that wholeness.
I like that, Mr. Richard. Wholeness. Everybody does like wholeness. And For someone feeling disconnected, what is small but profound way to deepen a single existing relationship this week without a grand gesture?
Yeah, well, if you're feeling disconnected with that, I think we the first place is always to start with ourselves. To start how we have a sense of how we feel internally. It informs us. Our body informs us of how we're feeling. We don't decide how to feel. Our body tells us, and so the more we can connect with like inner sensations, and that grounds us, and that puts us in a position of where we can go from. And then, of course, a lot of the things we suffer from, a lot of our suffering is through relationships with others. And so we suffer in a relationship, but that means we can also heal in relationship too. So I think it's always important to have those solid relationships to try and just to help them build them. So in order to answer your question, what's the simple things we can do? It's just to try and be more present, be more mindful, be more connected to our internal experience and the people around us as well.
The people around us, yes, definitely. And Mr. Richard, tell us if can you share a story of a personal moment of profound clarity, connection, or awe that directly led to the writing of this book?
Oh, I think Daniel, I think there are many. I think the experiences that we all have. I mean, we're all aware of. We all can have had times when we've suffered in the lower states of some of the lower orbits of consciousness, and I think we all know what it feels like when um, the ultimate, the highest states of awe and reverence and serenity and equanimity, and I think for my very first experience of this, it was actually in the Nevada desert. I think I was probably at the edge of the Grand Canyon, and I remember going up to the edge of that and just being completely struck. I must have stood there for about 15 minutes just staring at it. And I always, it wasn't so much the view that I remembered and this was as quite a young boy. I think I was about 10 years old. It wasn't so much the view that was in my memory. It was the feeling of just being just so small and such a big place, and and feelings just like, well, this is it. This is incredible. This is something, an amazing, beautiful place, and I'm just there looking at it, and I must be part of it, right? Because I'm the one that's feeling these wonderful internal feelings, and I'm getting them from the view. So I'm part of that experience, and then I realized that this is the connection. This is the connection of a phenomenal life.
Phenomenal life. Let's talk about the science and the soul, Mr. Richard. What does neuroscience or psychology tell us about the benefits of cultivating these three states? How do they physically and mentally change us?
Well, the one thing I always think we must remember is that what we ask our brain to do is what it'll get better at doing. So if we do um, ask our brain to serve us with to recognize, for instance, or to experience in our day, the more we experience it, the more our brain is going to deliver it to us and offer that opportunity. If we just get caught up with our distractions and never take these opportunities, that is what our brain's going to expect us to do, because our brains are ready for wiring. They're literally neuroplasticity. They're going to get us to be better at whatever we ask it to do. So therefore we have to be very careful about what we ask our brains to do. And I think this is that's the main point of it. So how the higher, the more we spend in the higher orbits, the longer we spend in the higher orbits of consciousness, the better, more accessible they are to us, and the easier it will be.
Mr. Richard, this seems like a blend of mindfulness and purposeful living. How does your framework differ from secular mindfulness practices or more rigid self help methodologies?
Yeah, Daniel, that's a good question. So yes, there is a lot of mindfulness there. I think the the presence which we get from that, and the clarity which we get from being in control of our own mind, because we must separate, we must remember that we're not our thoughts. Our thoughts come and go to us. We are the observer of our thoughts. And I think when we realize that we do have some control over our states of consciousness, we do suffer. We live a human existence. There's times we all feel alone with our experience, but we must understand that this is normal, it's intelligible, there's a reason for it, and it's something that we do have a degree of control over. So mindfulness teaches us to be more aware of our experience, and it teaches us to find that calm and find that clarity and find that peace. And I think it's a wonderful way to live. Yeah.
Sustaining the phenomenal, Mr. Richard. Life has a seasons of suffering and contraction. How do we maintain access to these states during grief, loss, or periods of intense stress? Can they be lifeless or lifelines?
They are what's the word? Inevitabilities. Yes, we all will experience these things. We've all felt the guilt. We've all felt shame. We've all felt grief. We've all felt self-loathing. Not hopefully not very often, but these are the lowest orbits. These are the ones where we are most contracted from the world, most egocentric. It's very hard to get out of those places. Sometimes we need professional interventions in terms of therapy. Sometimes our friends, through friends and our networks, we might be able to get out of it. And sometimes it just takes time, but it always starts with us taking back of our control of our own experience and trying to see that there is a way out of this, that it doesn't have to be like this. And I think the more that we then expand and the more that we can move through the higher orbits, we can get back to a place of comfort, and ultimately, hopefully, a place where we feel a lot more wholesome and we can experience more compassion and more kindness and forgiveness, and these sort of places which keeps us elevated in the higher orbits. And I literally see it as these orbits around a central core, and the higher we're out, the further out we are, the stronger is our connection at those points.
Stronger connection. Yes. So, how does living a phenomenal life impact our legacy and contribution? Thus, living with more awe and connection naturally make us more compassionate and impactful in our world.
Yes, absolutely. The compassion comes naturally. I mean, the Buddhists talk that it's a great bird with two wings, one compassion and wisdom, and you can't have one without the other. And yeah, wisdom expands as well because we make better decisions. We got better connections in our brain because the brain waves we're using come to a much more healthy frequency, like thrashing across our brain. And this has been proven in the science of meditation, that this happens. And when we're feeling peaceful, we think better, we make better connections. So how does it matter? Well, the more that we experience, it actually slows time down as well for us. We all know that when we're distracted by something, time can fly, right? But when we're actually in a mindful state and we experience what's happening around us, time passes a lot slower. And we know this. We know this to be true. It's a relativity that Einstein spoke about, right? He always said
Hmm.
he spent a minute with a pretty girl and it goes fly by. A minute in our hand in hot water and it takes ages, right? So the more we experience of the world, the slower the time goes for us. And I think that's more phenomena in our life, and it's just a better way to live. Yeah.
What does a phenomenal life look like in trances for everyday responsibilities? Managing household, meeting deadlines, or paying bills, Mr. Richard.
Yes, of course. We all have to do those things. The the more that we can access those higher states of consciousness, the more that we can experience the awe that we spoke about earlier. If we can find that in our days, we still have to pay the bills. We still have to, fix the things that go wrong. Um, we still have to do all the interactions, but to do them from a place where we can do them as well as experiencing wonderful moments in a day gives us that richness of life, that they don't become a burden. And in fact, we can suffer good luck, we can suffer bad luck. In the end, it's all luck, right? It's going to come both ways to us. we can accept whatever happens to us. And I think acceptance again is another one of these. There's the high states that we can reach, and once we can learn to accept a lot more things go along in our experiences, then yeah, we just live a place a lot happier, a lot more comfortable, and a lot more peaceful. And I think fulfilling life. That's why I think yeah, phenomenal life leads us to a much more fulfilling life as well.
Mr. Richard, what is the biggest misconception people have about what a phenomenal life entails? Do they mistake it for a perpetual ecstatic or easy life?
Yeah, I think the biggest restriction that people hold back is that I mean, well, I know I would say, do people understand what it is? Everyone understands, when they're in a state of flow, when they're having a wonderful time, when everything's going for them, and they know how good that feels. They don't know, they can't even name it sometimes, but they know it feels good, and we want to get that back, right? This is why we do the hobbies that we do. This is why we love. This is why we choose the things we do that we want to do, right? This is so do we see the value in that? I think the biggest misconception about it is it's something which we're not in control of, or we don't have the power to encourage. And I think we also think that the other things we do are good for us. We think that the judgment of situations, the judgment of other people, or the judgment of ourselves is necessary. And if we could just stop doing that, we can. That's what holds us back. A lot of that holds us in lower orbits where we literally can't ever break out of. And I think we do have much more free will to expand our orbits and to live in a much more spiritual place, and still be just as effective, in fact, more effective in the life that we lead, and the influence on the people around us as well.
Very well said, Mr. Richard. Very well said indeed. So, how can we create a communities or partnership that encourage reflect these values, moving beyond transactional networking to groups that genuinely foster clarity, connection, and all together?
Yeah, I think it's important that we must have compassion for ourselves. That when we are suffering, when we're in a state of consciousness which isn't serving us well, or we think is causing us suffering, we must remember that this is going to end, and we will find a way out. And if we have a will and we have a sense of direction, we can do this, and we can get out of that lower states, and we can find a way back to somewhere which is a lot better for us and for the people around us as well. So yeah, I mean, sometimes if anyone who, if this resonates with anyone that they felt alone in their experience, there is a way. There's a way, and if your listeners want to email me, I'm very happy to share some a free resource for them, or they can look through the access the website and find the book as well.
Mr. Richard, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in its third season, and my book 101 review in its sixth season as well, comedy 101 third season, and my food 101 in its sixth season. This year, Geography 101, Love Letters, Movie 101 Review, Music 101, our fifth season, Science 101, Sex 101, fourth season, and of course, my baby podcast, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Richard, for the skeptic who thinks this sounds lovely but impractical, what is your the most grounded evidence-based argument for why this path is not just a beautiful but essential and achievable?
I think because why is this beautiful and essential? Because I think we create the world around us. All of our experience is created, and it's important for us that we choose the best one that we can, to live the best life that we can and to get the most from that life.
Yes, definitely, definitely, Mr. Richard, and thank you again for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to us. And so, can you please invite our listeners to support your book?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they can find access to my book from aphenomenallife.co.uk. And they can email me at richard@aphenomenallife.co.uk as well. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Daniel. I've really enjoyed speaking.
No worries at all, Mr. Richard, and inviting you again to please do come over on Abstract Essay and let's talk about more about A Phenomenal Life. I want to help you to promote this, well, amazing book for sure. So I have one more question. What does a phenomenal life look like in the trances of everyday responsibilities that make us in chaos in everything that we do?
What does it look like? It looks like when we've had the experiences which just make us feel as if we're part of a wonderful world, and a wonderful life, and we feel connected to it and to the people around us, and we're making a difference, and we're positive, and everything is good. It doesn't have to be good every day, but we know it is good. And yeah, that's what a wonderful life gives us. We're literally living we are the universe living itself, experiencing itself. This is what we are. This is what we're coming to the world to do, to experience the beauty around us.
Mr. Richard Smith, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much.
Welcome, people. See you soon.